So let me just pause right here and take this all in. Simply opening up my heart right now to speak this word with you tonight. The talk title is There's Only One. And it may seem a little redundant, because for some of us who've been around spiritual community, especially this spiritual community, we already know there's only one. Yet do we? And I think that what's been coming up for me is that because we read the Word, because we study, because we're meditating and we're taking the words that we read, not only in our Science of Mind book, but in Practicing the Presence and some of the other great books that we've read and that we've been with, that because we take these words in, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we almost can recite from the book. We could almost quote the books, quote scriptures. We can, quote poets. And it's wonderful to be able to do that. Yet, I think what's coming up for me is are they just quotes? Are they simply words in the wind? Or is this really something that we embody and embrace and really believe? And if it is indeed what we really believe, then it must demonstrate in the outer world. If I truly believe and know for myself that there is only one, then the outpicturing of my life proves that. The words that I speak prove that. The way that I walk proves that. The way that I engage with others proves it. Now, I know that as we begin to learn and we begin to study, that sometimes the talk and the walk don't match. And that's just part of our learning and understanding and coming into fruition and maturing in spiritual truth and enlarging our consciousness and our awareness. That sometimes we have to speak it and speak it and speak it, almost like convincing ourselves of it. When we speak it out loud, it's not only other people that are hearing it, but we're hearing it too. So it comes into our consciousness and it gets into our minds, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to believe that. I'm supposed to get up and pull the shade up and let the light in, because I say that's what I believe. I talk about this light, but if I'm just going to sit still in it, if I don't know about it, then it's just talk. And so is it indeed just talk when we say there's only one? Or does our life demonstrate that we actually believe it, that we live it? So when we talk about evil, all this evil in the world, all this bad in the world, or when we turn on the news and we hear about these weapons of mass destruction, or we hear about all the evil and all the bad that's happening in the world, is it something that we're buying into? Or is it something that we recognize and go, there's one power, one presence, one life. That life is God. I live in a friendly universe, and what I am being told about this universe is not the truth? Or do I believe in good and evil? Because to believe in good and in evil is to say that there's two powers. So is there only one? Or is that something that I'm just saying while I am believing and operating from a place that I need protection, or that there's evil in the world and I have to protect myself or protect others? Or do I simply know that right where I am, God is? And I have to tell you and share with you that, from infancy, we're taught that there's one power or one God, but yet we're taught that there's bad and good. So what do we really believe? Where is it that we're putting our focus? It is done unto us as we believe. And I'm so grateful for the practitioners and the ministers here at Seaside, because they help us. They're here to help us understand and recognize and know the truth. They're here to help us kind of dig out and uncover these hidden beliefs, these things within us that act as a law in our life. There are these hidden beliefs within us that act as a law in our life, meaning that these deep beliefs that we have actually dictate how we operate in the world. Actually, are mandates, if you will, self-inflicted mandates as to how we operate and how we show up in the world. And if you're anything like me, I'm always looking at ways that my walk could match my talk just a little bit more. Looking for ways that I could really understand and get to that place in my own consciousness, and get to that place in consciousness where I am living from that place of knowing beyond the shadow of a doubt that there is only one, that there's not this otherness. You know, all of the great spiritual teachers in our lifetime have always taught us that there's one power, one presence, one life, and that life is God. All of the great avatars, all of our great teachers and ministers have taught us that some of the qualities that we can expect or that we know God to be is love, joy, peace, abundance, wellness, wholeness, perfection. And yet we entertain this idea of evil or some otherness. And I want to really say is that when we look at God and the allness that God is, we have our living and being in God. There's only the one. And for us, really, when we believe in evil, when we believe in lack or limitation or living in doubt and in fear, what we're really saying is in that wholeness, there's something missing. And to the degree in which we know this truth for ourselves, we get to really live in our fullness. We get to really live in our abundance. We get to really live in our joy. We get to really live in our peace. For there's only peace. There's only love. But to the degree in which we can accept all of it in its fullness, to that degree is where we experience it for ourselves. But when we don't, what we're really seeing is a part of the allness. And we might label that evil. And so we think that there is this otherness when there isn't. It's just that in our consciousness and in our awareness at this time, we cannot perceive the allness that God is. And because we cannot perceive the allness that God is, we cannot even perceive that our life is that life that God is, so that which is true about God is true about me. We cannot see that there is this place within us that says, I am sufficient. And really relate that back to our own experience. Thus, it is important for us to really dwell, like the reading that Candace read for us today, to really dwell in the Word and to really begin to recognize and know God for ourselves. To really practice, to really be in that space of knowing this truth. This week, Joel Goldsmith said that 5 minutes in the morning and maybe 5 minutes at night is not enough. And I said, I can't tell them that. Some folks are at a minute in the morning and maybe 30 seconds at night and are working their way up to 5 minutes. I can't possibly say that. I guess I just did, huh? What he's really leaning toward is this idea that you get out of it what you put into it. And when we say that something is important, such as my spiritual health and wellness, my consciousness, I want to live a better life, I want to experience life to the fullest, is that just talk? Or am I really dedicating the time to my practice, to my knowing that my life is the life of God in this form right here, that God is expressing beautifully and magnificently right here, right there in your seats. God is expressing as each and every one of us. So is it worth the time to invest a little more and a little more? And you know, the way to get to the top of the ladder is one rung at a time. And if it's 1 minute right now or 5 minutes in the morning or whatever it is right now, so be it. It is a beginning. It is a start. But it is not where we want to hang out unless we're happy with what we're getting. Because if you keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting what you're getting. And if you like what you're getting, then keep doing what you're doing. And if you're not, if you want more, if you want to experience a little more fullness, a little more wholeness, a little more joy, a little more abundance, more peace, then dwelling in communion with Spirit, getting to know your life as the life that God is where we get to spend some time. And I'm going to tell you, you really don't need to change a whole lot about what you're doing. Except that maybe you might want to invite this presence into your consciousness and awareness while you're doing certain things. I know that while I'm looking in the mirror brushing my teeth, I'm dwelling in Spirit. It's kind of like there's one power, one presence. There's a lot of teeth in here. Oh, the abundance. Look at all this foam in my mouth. Oh, it's abundant. I begin to use ordinary things, ordinary practices that I'm so used to already, and begin to, if you will, spiritualize them, or to use them as opportunities to recognize and commune with Spirit, commune in Spirit at that moment. So it could be when you're taking a bath, or a shower, or shaving. I know that when I get in my car, I take a few minutes and just pause and recognize this power that is animating me, that is me, that is not separate from me. See, that 5 minutes in the morning or that 1 minute in the morning just turned into 10, 15, almost 20 minutes in pieces, but it happens throughout the day. I know some of you work at offices where sometimes the computer is not the best. Sometimes it freezes on you. I remember working at this one place, and every time we used to have this joke. Every time the computer freezes, it means you get up and go to the water cooler and get a drink of water. It's time to hydrate. Great idea. Great idea, because you got to reboot it. It's got to start up all over again. So time to rehydrate. Well, what if you use that time to recognize your oneness? What if you use that time of walking the dog or waiting in line at the supermarket? Instead of complaining about, oh my gosh, this line is so long, how come they don't have cashiers? You know, I thought three's a crowd kind of thing here. You know, where's the cashiers? What are they doing? Instead of being in that, wow, What if that were just an opportunity for us to really pause? Wow, things are not working out my way right now. What if this is just an opportunity for me to pause and know that everything is coming together, not only for my highest good, but for the good of everyone around me? That even though in the world of appearances it may look like there's something wrong, it is actually right, because there's only one life. That life is God. There's only one power and one presence. That is God. And everything is in divine order. Everything is already out picturing in divine order. And so this, what I call snag or delay, or this thing that just doesn't look like it's supposed to be this way because I didn't plan it this way, is actually in divine order. That there's a bigger picture, that there is nothing but the will of God taking place in our life. Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind book, I picked it up a while ago, but I just couldn't get to it. He says, the tendency of modern thought is to return by the route of inductive science to the great spiritual deductions of the ages, that all, capital A, that all is one. But men are still puzzled, trying to reconcile the world of multiplicity, the objects of the world of many things, to their beliefs. And in the final necessity is unity. Every great spiritual teacher has known that God is one, not two. And for those of us then that are a little more advanced, sunshine, I know there's only one power, one presence. I tend to go a little bit further. If that is so, are we living in this place of superstition, this place of fear that, I had a negative thought. Oh no, I'm in trouble now. I had a negative thought. Cancel, 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 cancel. Oh no, what's the opposite of that? Oh, what did that practitioner teach me? I had a negative thought. Oh, something bad's gonna happen to me. Nobody can identify with that. Too bad. There's one power, one presence. That life is God. That negative thought is just a negative thought that we can just simply let go and know and stand in our truth. That there's one power, one presence, one life, and that life is living magnificently in, through, and as my very life. I don't have to worry about a negative thought. It's just a thought. Like my friend Michael Beckwith says, I don't know where that thought's been. I just let it go. Just let it go. I don't have to cancel it. I don't have to, no. I just need to remind myself that there's one power, one presence, one life. There's one. And that one is showing up as each and every one of us. One of the things that I love to say is that, in creation, God did not create flower. There are flowers. There are plants, different kinds of plants, different kinds of trees. There's one that has created everything out of itself. One. So for me to believe or even to entertain that there's something outside of that one is for me to believe in two. And when I believe in two, then that's a whole nother center to go to. But when I believe in one and really anchor myself in that idea and that thought that there's one power, one presence, one life, and really begin to live from this place, then I live from that place of knowing that this life is God's life. And that I get to experience the abundance and the peace and the joy and the clarity that there is. I get to remember and see God expressing beautifully and magnificently as all these flowers. But there's still the one that is expressing beautifully as each and every one of us. So this evening we get an opportunity in our time in the silence to begin to anchor that truth in. So if you would just clear your laps right now and just prepare your heart. Prepare your heart to know and to simply envision this one power, this one presence, this one life that has created everything out of itself. Through some act of involution, this divine energy, source, substance, the creative intelligence, that it has created everything out of itself. Therefore, everything seen and unseen is God. There is no otherness. Nothing outside of this one life that we know as love, joy, beauty, creativity, divine order, perfection, power, wholeness. There is only the one. And it is living as us in this form. So as we simply take in that which we have felt, the little ahas, maybe something in the reading or the beautiful music, as we begin to take that into our meditation, we're simply knowing that there is only one. There's only one. There's only the one.